Revolution Golfers, Martin Chuck here with my assistant Jim Waldron. We are in the studio at the Raven. It's a little bit of a rainy day in Phoenix, so we're taking advantage of the weather and doing another little tip about body position and gears. And we're going to take a look at Jim's swing on gears and then relate it to a typical pelvis move, how this pelvis works in the golf swing as compared to a tour player and then obviously a high-level player like Jim. So let's get started. Jim just hit a great shot for us on gears. If we look at the club data, that was a 100-mile-an-hour 7-iron, which is 10 miles an hour faster than the tour average. That 7-iron flew 175 yards in the air, with a spin of about 5,600 RPMs. So let's take a look at Jim's swing here on gears. And his head stays very centered, excellent, powerful balance up into a full finish on his lead side. Now, this tip is really about understanding how the pelvis works in the golf swing. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit and get an interesting view here. So there's a close-up view from the belly button down, just a line of reference on what's happening. So he's got a little primer move away from the target, but it centers pretty quick. You can see his hands are still in the screen, and then there's a lateral motion. His weight pressure gets onto his lead foot pretty early. That lateral motion goes all the way over to his lead foot. There's impact, and that lateral motion continues to move forward until he's finished in balance. You know, it's a beautiful golf swing. Now we're going to load on top of him and overlay an amateur golfer who struggles with this. So hopefully you can understand this and learn from it. Here we have two gentlemen at address. We got Big Jim, the golfer in yellow, and then a gentleman in the blue. You can see right away how his body moves from Jim's and moves away from the target. His head starts to pop out of that head bubble. So he's really, quote, rearing up, loading up on that trail side. His pelvis, as you can see here, has really moved a great distance from where it started in the middle there. So as I back this up, move it back into position, we'll take him to the top of his backswing, and then his pelvis gets stuck in no man's land back in the center while Jim's keeps pushing forward onto his lead foot. And that's how he arrives in great balance and gets through the shot, while the other gentleman's kind of stuck between his feet with a ton of weight pressure still on his trail foot. If we just take the gentlemen and make them side by side, so we've got Jim on the left, the other golfer on the right, and you can really see how the golfer's struggling, a lot of weight pressure, a lot of lateral motion away from the target, and then he really never establishes his weight pressure back on the lead foot, and his pelvis is stagnant, and he can't get through the shot, and thus we have that spin out move on the trail foot. And naturally what you're going to see with this, if we go ahead and look down the line, we're going to see an interesting club path variation between Jim and the struggling player. As we come down the line, there goes that club with the struggling player way over the top. And if I overlay these golfers, you're going to see a big, big difference in how this club is presenting halfway down. So Jim's club is approaching nicely inside out 1 degree. Very, very straight path, where the other player's club is approaching down, wiping across the golf ball in a slicing manner. Revolution Golfers, so we're back live with Jim in the studio here. And Jim, why don't you talk through what we do with most players when they come visit us at the studio?
Well, most of the time when we have someone who struggles with getting their hips forward, weight pressure forward, we just put an alignment stick on the ground and we have their pelvis on top. On the backswing, they're going to turn their pelvis on top of this alignment stick, and then by the time they get to impact, they want to have their glutes or their hips in front of this line and being able to tuck and keep both of their glutes in front of this white line right here. And you know, Martin's mentor, George Knudsen, would always have their junior players turn, tuck, and being able to tap. So the turn, tuck, and tap.
So Big Jim he's turned to the target, his rear end is tucked underneath him, and he's in a position to tap his foot. That's going to help his pelvis trace appropriately so he can turn into balance, finish in balance, get through the shot, and tap that trail foot. So Martin Chuck and Jim Waldron, don't leave me hanging, pro, signing off from the Raven Golf Club in kind of rainy Phoenix, Arizona today. Hope you enjoyed that tip. Post your questions and comments down below, and we'll get to as many as we can. Thanks for watching.